Today, we look at 5 affordable alternatives to expensive luxury watches. One thing I've learned is that you don't need to spend a ton of money for a well-made watch with a decent brand history. So we're looking at 5 relatively expensive watches ranging between $3,000 to $50,000, and they're affordable alternatives, most of which cost way under $1,000. For many years now, Tudor has been living under the shadow of Rolex, its parent company. It was often considered a more attainable version of Rolex, but in the recent years with some of their newer releases, that's not the case anymore. Tudor has managed to get out of Rolex's shadow by creating its own strong identity and design language. The BLANCPAIN 41 has always been a fan favorite stainless steel everyday watch for a lot of watch collectors, but even though Tudor is considered as a more attainable luxury watch, $4,000 is still not a small amount of money. That's where this new SEIKO SRPE line comes in. The watch we're looking at today is the SRPE 55K1, which comes in a mostly brushed stainless steel case but a polished fixed bezel, and houses the new SEIKO 4R36 in-house automatic caliber. The watch offers hacking and hand winding, a 41-hour of power reserve, day-date function, 100 meters of water resistance, hardlex crystal, an open case back where you are able to look at the no-nonsense workhorse movement, with SEIKO's very own shock-resistant technology in play. Plus, being an everyday tool watch, it focuses more on being robust than ornamentation. The case diameter hits that sweet spot for most wrists at 40mm case size, 44.6mm lug-to-lug, and 11.5mm thickness. The watch can be found online for as low as $200 in Malaysia. A lot of people look at Omega the same way as Rolex fans look at Tudor, as a more relatively affordable luxury Swiss timepiece. But the Speedmaster changed everything. After becoming the first watch on the moon in 1969, that moon watch cliche just made the design so timeless that the Speedmaster has become one of the toughest watches to find an alternative for. The Bulova Lunar Pilot is often considered as an affordable alternative, but again, in my opinion, it's quite far from it. In terms of Omega's coaxial movement, its accuracy, the case size and finish, the vintage has a light domed crystal, the textured dial, everything is just perfect. But if you're broke like me, you can always go with the $200 Swatch Night Flight. Don't get me wrong, this is a completely different watch when compared to the Speedmaster. But if you're looking for an attractive, fun chronograph that somewhat slightly resembles the Speedmaster without being an homage, then this is a piece to consider. The Swatch brand was Switzerland's response to the quartz crisis. After SEIKO destroyed the Swiss watch industry, yes, destroyed, don't hate me, the Swiss came up with their own version of a fun, casual watch that still lives by their passion and their design philosophy and creativity without the luxury status. The Swatch Night Flight is part of the Irony series, so it's a bit more heavy duty than the typical plastic ones. The watch comes in a stainless steel case with a mineral crystal, housing a Swiss quartz movement in a 43mm case diameter, 12.7mm thickness, 49 lug-to-lug, 22mm lug width, and 30 meters of water resistance. As for the movement, I'm not quite sure. They don't reveal any details about the movement, so I'm assuming it's a entry-level Swiss quartz movement. And you might think for the price that it's a cheaply made movement, so it's gonna suck. But Swatch watches have been quite reliable in terms of their movements and have known to work for a few decades at least. So yeah, you're getting an original design, artistic expression, and value for money. Kevin O'Leary always says that a Grand Seiko has Patek quality but at a fraction of its price. You can find most Grand Seikos between $3,000 to $10,000, but some time ago they released a $50,000 limited edition. There was little hope of us ever being able to afford anything even remotely close to that diamond dust textured dial until Seiko released the Zen Garden. Now the SEIKO Zen Garden is not really trying to be a Grand Seiko because we can see the design language has more in common to the other models in the Presage line. But the SEIKO Presage offers some of the most beautifully textured dials in the entire SEIKO line, although not hand finished like Grand Seiko. Looking at the watch, there are 3 dial colors to choose from, with all of them coming with leaf style hour and minute hands, along with a blue seconds hand. The hour markers are also textured in the same way as the dial, which is inspired by the Zen Gardens in Japan, which I'm not fully on board with. That's just because I'm not really accustomed to seeing this kind of combination between dial and marker finishing. The watch houses the decorated SEIKO 4R35 automatic movement with hacking and hand winding, a date window at 6 o'clock, dual curved sapphire crystal, 30 meters of water resistance, and a slightly large case size of 41.7 millimeter, lug to lug of 48.5, thickness of 11.7, and online price of just under $400 in Malaysia. The Rolex Oyster Perpetual, released around 1950, was the first ever waterproof wristwatch. The modern Oyster Perpetual is an everyday piece that can be worn at almost any occasion, with added versatility through multiple case sizes and dial colors. Not to mention that you're getting that famous Rolex chronometer certified movement and all of the other perks that come with a Rolex. But even though this is one of the most affordable Rolexes out there, 5,000 retail could still be a lot of money for most people. In that case, you have the Tissot Gentleman. The watch comes in a mostly brushed 316L stainless steel case and a highly polished fixed bezel with a domed sapphire crystal, housing the ETA F06115 quartz movement, and again a polished and brushed stainless steel bracelet with a water resistance of 100 meters. The case sits at 40mm case size with only 8.5mm thickness. The Gentleman also comes in an automatic variation for an extra $275, but even the quartz version at $400 is an amazing value for money. The BLANCPAIN, often referred to as BLANCPAIN by non-watch people, is the oldest watchmaker in the world, dating back almost 300 years. The 50 Fathoms dive watch made in 1953 was the first professional dive watch, which most of the dive watches took inspiration from in terms of both design and function. But that heritage comes at a very hefty price tag. We look at the Certina DS PH200M as an affordable alternative. Certina is an entry-level Swiss watch manufacturer dating all the way back to 1888, but for some reason the Swatch Group is not really marketing it so much, so a lot of people haven't even heard of the brand. The DSPH200M comes in a stainless steel case with a convex steel unidirectional bezel with a ceramic insert and a domed sapphire crystal, housing the ETA Powermatic 8611 automatic movement, coming at slightly larger 42.8mm case size, 52mm lug to lug, 20 lug width, and 11.9 case thickness. The watch comes with a screw down crown along with 200 meters of water resistance and 80 hours of power reserve, and you can choose between a canvas NATO strap or the stainless steel Milanese bracelet. The only complaint I hear about this watch is its case size. I mean, the case size people can work around it, but that lug to lug of 52mm just doesn't work for a lot of small to mid-sized wrists. But apart from that, this is still a historically significant vintage style dive watch from a highly underrated watch brand. Remember that all of the prices that I mentioned are retail prices from their official websites, but these watches can be found online for a bit cheaper. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.